Director Kash Patel is set to be grilled by lawmakers on Capitol Hill next week in hearings before the Senate and House Judiciary Committees. It all comes as Patel, along with other officials in the FBI and Justice Department, continue to face pushback over their handling of the Epstein case. You will remember that in July, these agencies tried to put an end to the intrigue and announced they would not disclose any further information, which quickly prompted a firestorm within President Trump's own base and even united some Republicans and Democrats in a fight for transparency. Since then, there have been near constant developments and troves of new information, including the release of Epstein's 50th birthday book with a note, lewd drawing you see here, and signature allegedly from Trump himself. The president has denied that he wrote this letter. Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland. He is the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, good to see you. So break it down for us. How do you plan to make the most of your time with the FBI director? Where are the concerns, the inconsistencies that you've seen? What are your central questions for Kash Patel?
Well, we need a whole hearing that's just about the Epstein file. And of course, this is Kash Patel coming in to answer everything. And we've got lots of questions about what's going on at the FBI. But within the Epstein investigation, I would say there are at least three categories of things that I'm most focused on. Number one, what do we know about why Alex Acosta, when he was U.S. Attorney in Florida back in 2007, crushed the 60-count federal indictment on everything from rape to statutory rape to human trafficking to conspiracy and so on, and threw all those counts away and then went to one count, a state count of solicitation, and gave him about the sweetest sweetheart plea bargain in the history of the country, or certainly this century. Why did that happen? How did that happen? What forms of power and wealth and money were used in that? Number two, when Ghislaine Maxwell was approached by Todd Blanche, who had been Donald Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer and then became a ranking official at the Department of Justice. In what capacity was he approaching her? Was that as Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer? Was it investigating another case? What exactly was he doing? Why did he get rid of all of the line prosecutors and lawyers who'd been working on the case? Then he spent several hours with her and pronounced himself satisfied with her answers, and then unbelievably was transferred to one of these club-fed minimum security facilities in Texas almost overnight. Ordinarily, it takes 6 months to a year to accomplish a transfer, and you've got to demonstrate some compelling reason for why you want to transfer from one to another. This happened just in a flash. Why? What were they trying to get from her? What were they trying to show her? She, of course, is looking for a pardon and clemency. How did that happen for a facility which doesn't even take convicted felon sex offenders like Ghislaine Maxwell? And then, finally, I think we want to know why, when the FBI and President Trump assigned 1,000 agents to go over the entire file, why did they then change their mind and decide that this file that they've been demanding the release of, like Kash Patel, like Dan Bongino, like Donald Trump, why did they suddenly say, no, nothing to see here, we're going to sweep the whole thing under the rug? What was it they found? We don't want the files that they're releasing in dribs and drabs to the Oversight Committee now. We want the entire file. Where is the rest of it? And why did they, in fact, change their minds? What was redacted? What was destroyed, if anything? We want to know about the integrity of the evidence as it exists today.
Congressman, Bloomberg this week had an incredible trove of Jeffrey Epstein's emails, a lot of them with Ghislaine Maxwell, showing information such as Maxwell opened a foreign bank account, there were conversations that showed them to be closer than she certainly portrayed when she sat down with Todd Blanche. What do you make of the information that came from those emails? And is it going to help move forward the cry to have all of these documents, the Epstein files, released?
Absolutely. I mean, those emails alone, and that's a small fraction of what's out there, make an absolute fool out of Ghislaine Maxwell and demonstrate that she's a liar. She was integrally and intimately involved in every step of this conspiracy to continue to run a child sex exploitation and predation ring, which is why she was convicted and sentenced to prison for 20 years, a sentence that has just gotten a lot easier as she's been sent off to this cushy facility in Texas. But in any event, there are all kinds of other people that are mentioned there, and the money was central to it. We've got to follow the money here. This was a very expensive, wide-ranging operation, tens of thousands of dollars flowing among different celebrities, politicians, lawyers, lots of people getting gifts like Alan Dershowitz and his wife. Yes, watches being sent around and so on. We want to try to reconstruct the entire money trail. Where did all that money come from? What was it paying for? And how did they, in essence, buy themselves a double standard of justice in America for so long? We've just got to blow the roof off of this whole conspiracy, and we need accountability and responsibility and transparency. And that's not some kind of partisan complaint. This is being demanded by a bipartisan majority in Congress and the vast majority of the American people. Give us all of this information and let us make some very definitive conclusions about what happened and why, because we're talking about an administration that has been steadily dismantling the anti-human trafficking infrastructure of the U.S. government. They got rid of USAID, which was critical to tracking human trafficking networks and lines of transportation around the world. They've gutted it at the Department of Justice. They've gutted anti-human trafficking at Homeland Security across the board. We're releasing a report on that. And so this is not some kind of one-off peripheral thing. This goes right to the heart of their demolition of the anti-rape, anti-domestic violence, anti-human trafficking commitment of the federal government.
So I got to ask you, Congressman, can you do all of this that you outlined with this Republican Party in control of Congress? Because just on Wednesday, you had Senate Republicans who blocked an effort. I think it was only 2 senators, Josh Hawley, Rand Paul, who went along with Democrats to try to force the DOJ to actually release all of the Epstein files. You're asking a lot of very important questions. Can you get any of them answered with this Republican Party?
Well, we're very frustrated with the amount of time that has been allocated to this. This is not a hearing just on the Epstein file. This is our hearing to talk to Kash Patel about everything, including lots of lapses in criminal law enforcement that have taken place since he's taken over, like the sacking of dozens of experienced federal prosecutors simply because they did their jobs and worked on the January 6th investigation. So we're going to have to be speaking very fast at this hearing. And remember, we're limited to 5 minutes. We would like the majority to give us 2 rounds or 3 rounds of questions, but they want to get this over with as quickly as possible. So people who are interested in this should be demanding that we have an entire hearing just on the Epstein file if they're not planning to release it.
Congressman Jamie Raskin, thanks as always for your time tonight.